Let's face it, driving on the roads today can be super dangerous. You have all sorts of maniacs out there, people passing you on the highway in the breakdown lane, cutting you off, running red lights, and if you get hit and it's not your fault, you have to prove to your insurance that it wasn't your fault, and the police too. So the best way to make sure that you're not on the hook for damages, especially when it's someone else's fault, is to install a dash cam. Now the folks over at AZDome sent me this dash cam to install and review for you guys, so let's get right into it. So this is the M17 Pro from AZDome. They do have other models out there. So let's open the box and see what we have inside here. So looks like we have some kind of plastic mount here. We have some cable. So this is a USB-C cable. I assume this is for the power adapter for this. Oh, here's the power adapter. So they give you a little 5-volt power adapter. So here's the rear camera. There's a little protective plastic on the lens here until you get it installed. And here's the mount. So it looks like once you get this installed, you tighten up these screws. You can change the angle of this camera. It also comes with some screws to mount it and double-sided adhesive. This looks like a double-sided adhesive sticky pad. Not sure what this is. Oh, this may be a tool for prying off trim in your car. And it looks like some wire management pieces in here. And we have a wet wipe and a dry wipe here, and I assume that's probably for the adhesive. And this looks like it is the front-facing camera. So this has a wide-angle lens on it. Everything is protected with protective plastic until you have this installed, and that just ensures that you don't get any fingerprints on stuff. This lens is actually movable, so you can adjust the angle side to side, up and down. It has a nice little screen here. Screen's probably about 3 inches by maybe 1.5 inches tall. So this is the piece that actually mounts to your front windshield. So this would just mount on your front windshield, probably right next to your rear view mirror. Looks like we have some controls here. We have up, down, maybe like a mode button. Here's your memory card right here. Let's see what this comes with for a memory card. Looks like a 64 gig memory card. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty decent size. And we have some other function buttons here that we'll talk about. And here's the user manual that it comes with. It's pretty detailed. Now let's talk about the connections. Now we have this AV connection up top, and that is where your rear camera plugs into. So once you get this ran behind the trim in your car and your camera mounted, this would plug in here. Now this red wire here, you're gonna hook up to your reverse taillight. So the reverse wire on your taillight, and what that does is it enables you to use this rear facing camera as a reverse camera. So if you have an older vehicle, you get a backup cam. That's pretty cool. Now on this side, you have a USB-C connector here, and that is the power input for this device. Now back to the buttons on the left side of the dash cam. So the up and down buttons are just to select functions within the menu, and the middle button is actually the menu button. On the right side, we have 4 buttons. The bottom button is the power button. The next button up, this is the lock button. The M button here is gonna allow you to toggle between video, photo, and lock video playback mode. And the very last button up top is the OK or record button. All right, so let's get this out to the truck, get it installed. So we're gonna be installing this in a 2018 F150 Super Crew, and they give you this anti-static sticker to put up here to mount this to. I'm not sure I'm gonna use that. So you wanna figure out if you wanna mount this to the right or to the left. I think I'm gonna mount it to the left because I'll have a little more reach, because this truck is pretty big inside, and for me to reach over to this side and mess with the buttons is gonna be in a pain in the butt. I just don't want this on like my field of view. I kind of want it out of the way. The electrostatic sticker, I don't know if that's electrostatic to keep dust from gathering on the lens or what, but I mean, if you just wipe the lens off every once in a while, I think you'll be good. You wanna adjust the lens once you get this powered up to be level with the car, or to give you the best view of what's happening in front of you. So to mount this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the wet wipe. We're gonna wipe off an area where the sticker's gonna go. That's just gonna ensure that there's no oil or any other kind of contaminants on there, and that the sticker will mount on there really good. And then we'll use the dry wipe to kind of wipe that area off. We'll peel our backing tape off of here and mount this to there. And then what we can do is we can run our wires. We're gonna run them straight up behind the headliner here. And this does pull down a little bit. Obviously, depending on the car that you have, that's gonna vary. And I'm planning on just running the wires down along the side here and down the pillar here, behind the pillar, and probably underneath where the steering wheel is here, and then over to around this area. So I actually have some power down in here that I can run a USB plug off, so I may just try to plug that into there instead of using this little power adapter they have, because for me to use that, I'm gonna have to plug it in here, and I think I'm gonna be annoyed if I have a wire kind of draped up and this thing is open all the time. First step, wet wipe, and I'm just gonna wipe this whole area, and then we'll grab the dry wipe And then this adhesive on the camera is really strong, so once you place this on the windshield, you're kind of stuck with that position. So you want to make sure that this thing isn't like this. All right, you want to make sure that it's straight up and down. I wouldn't probably go as far as sticking a level on it. You can probably eyeball it pretty well, but if you do mess it up, they give you one extra adhesive pad on there. Now, before I go to mount this in place, I'm going to put my mirror back to where I normally have it when I'm driving, just so I don't end up blocking this screen with the mirror. All right, and then I'm going to mount this. I'm going to mount this probably around right about here. So all we're doing now is we're taking that USB cable, and this thing's quite long. I forget what the length is, but it does say in the manual. But we're gonna plug this in. So the USB is gonna go to the top right of the camera. So I'll show you that USB-C goes to the top right. Now it's a right-angled connector. So I'm basically going to take this, because this rearview mirror is an auto-dimming mirror. I'm gonna just zip tie this to that, and then I'm gonna run this up through the headliner up here, down, and then I can run the power cable and plug it in down here. And we're gonna get this as close as possible. We want it to look nice. We don't want the wire to be like obstructing our view while we're driving. So I'm gonna put 2 zip ties on here. And now I'm just gonna basically take this wire and pull down on the headliner gently. And this should be the same for most cars here. Your headliner pulls down. It looks like I can actually just tuck this right in the rubber here. All right, and then I have that coming off over here. We'll get this all the way down and under the dash and over to where I can plug that power in. Now we have one more wire that goes to the top of the camera, and that's for the rear view camera. Now you don't have to install it, it is optional, but we're gonna try it out. And I actually do have a spot in the back here, right next to where my hat is. So I'm gonna actually mount the rear view cam with the double-sided tape on top of that little pillar that the seat belt is on, because that does not move even when I lower the seat. So we're gonna mount it right there, and we'll get the right angle, shine it through the back. At least we'll have some recordings of behind the truck, and we don't need to use that backup cam if we don't want to, like I mentioned. So I was able to actually tuck the wire in all the way down, pull this little side panel out right here, and I have it coming out here, so I can run it all the way over and then into where that USB plug is. I was able to actually tuck it in right here. It's kind of out of the way, doesn't look bad. And then I was able to zip tie it underneath the dashboard and all the way over there. So it's out of the way now. That worked out pretty well. Powering up now. Kind of sounds like my LG dish machine when it's finished, but you can see that on, actually without my key, even in the ignition. As soon as I open the door, these USB plugs turn on. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna connect the rear view camera right here, and we're gonna run it up the same way as we did with the power cord over. And then I'm gonna try to tuck it behind the door seals and then behind this little pillar cover. Here's the connector for the rear camera, and that simply just plugs into the top here. And now you can see in this upper right corner, we have our rear cam. We're gonna zip tie all these and then run this wire the same way we did with the power wire. You can see I have it running all the way over, so I'm gonna tuck it behind this plastic, and then we're gonna do the same thing on this back seal. It's pretty sweet. So if you have a Ford F-150 and you're installing this is the way to do it. Or you could always run it along the floorboard and underneath like the floor pan trim. All right, and we're gonna shove this up in there, basically pushing it behind this rear pillar cover. I'm gonna get that down, and then I'm gonna actually lower the seat now. We'll do some wire management behind here, but I'm gonna basically take this that comes with double stick tape. There are some screws on here, so you can adjust the angle of this depending on where you mount it. And I'm just gonna tighten up those screws, and we're gonna double stick tape it to the back here and hopefully see behind us. So since we never lower this seat here, I'm just gonna leave the wiring like this. I zip tied it to this piece right here and just ran it over. We wanna keep it out of the way of the latch, but that's what we're going with, stuck on there. All right, now we're gonna take this for a test ride now that we have the rear camera installed. There are some like voice commands, so show rear camera. Rear camera displayed. And now that you see, we have a full view out the back. And this is just good, like if you get rear-ended, you'll have some footage of that will record onto the SD card in here. So that's really cool. I think that's a great feature besides the front-facing camera. But we're gonna take it for a ride around. You can also hit the mode button on the side here, and there's a bunch of settings in here. You can set resolutions, you can set the like accident sensor, it's called the G sensor. So you can have a parking monitor, you can do time-lapse video. There are Wi-Fi settings, so there is an app that you can download for your phone to pull the videos right off of this right onto your phone. So just say you're at an accident scene, you want to show the cops, whatever footage of, you hitting something or someone hitting you, you can pull that right onto your phone. Let's hit the menu button once more, and you'll notice this little microphone here is off. If we hit down, audio on. It'll say audio on. So what that's gonna do is it's also gonna record in-car audio. So we're gonna take a drive around. I'll talk a little bit while we're driving so you can see the footage and you can hear me talking. All right, so we're just driving through my neighborhood here, and this is 2K resolution. I believe it goes up to 3K. All right, so the camera's 2 megapixels. The photo resolution's looks like 2 megapixels all the way up through 12, depending on the settings. Photo format's JPEG. All right, so about 3 weeks since we first installed this dash cam, I wanted to give it the full go through, mess with some of the settings and stuff, let it sit in the truck out in direct sunlight, 100-degree weather, probably 130 plus inside of my truck, no issues whatsoever. It turns on every single time, and as you can see from the clips that I added to this video, it's decent quality. It's good enough for if you get in an accident to be able to have that evidence for your insurance company or police or yourself or whatever. So if you're looking for a dash cam, consider AZDome. This was the M17 Pro that we installed. I'll drop a Amazon affiliate link down in the description of this video. So if you purchase it, I do get a little bit of a cut, but it doesn't cost you any more money. So I thank you if you do purchase it through that link. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and be ready for my next video coming out soon. See you then.